Uh, Hello. If you're watching this, you may start to notice that South Sudan might be in the news recently, but their only real reason why they're gaining tension is because South Sudan goes to war with Sudan, which is confusing. They really should just call themselves North Sudan, but and each other and themselves. Um, they're at war with each other. They're at war with all their neighbors. They're at war with themselves. All their neighbors are at war with themselves. And it's not like I'm trying to stereotype here. If you're actually from South Sudan, you can let me know the current situation. But it's like whenever you guys are at war, nobody seems to notice. You know? Like when Ukraine gets in war, oh, everybody notices. Because it's in Europe. It's in fucking Europe. But when an African country or when a Middle Eastern country goes to war, oh, no, that's just casual. Unless it's, I don't know, Israel or Iran or something. Maybe Saudi Arabia. But outside of that, you barely hear much about it. But I think that's for two reasons. One, because it mostly disbenefits certain parts of the world, and it does get a lot of people really, really, really radicalized when they come from that part of the world, because they're always constantly at war like that in that part of Africa. And that part of Africa wasn't always constantly at war, because there's a long, long, long history, because, Africa has the longest human history in the world. That's the continent that humans originated from. If you didn't know that, that's a fun fact, you know? Evolution or not, regardless which you believe in, technically speaking, if you all go back to all the humans, regardless if you're a, a new age or new world person or whatever, or if you're just somebody who believed in evolution, regardless if you think the Earth is they started humans 9,000 years ago, or if you think, they've gone through millions of years, whatever. It started in Africa when the continents became continents, okay? Like, I don't know what else to tell you. These guys are the original OG natives, okay? Like, it's self-explanatory of why they have so much history. Um, but the war part, that's kind of modern, in a way, you know? It's like ever since World War II ended, they just always been in war, you know? Like, I don't know what else to tell you. And then they became South Sudan, and then they were officially recognized in 2011 by the UN through paperwork, and they were officially independent. So yeah, there's that, I guess. Um, yeah, that's one reason. One reason is, they're always at war, and then the second reason is, well, they're Africa, okay? They don't really get it paid attention to unless they're Nigeria, Egypt, um, Morocco sometimes, and then mostly South Africa. Let's be for real. Mostly South Africa, and sometimes Madagascar, but let's be for real, mostly South Africa, because that's like the richest country over there, Richest country on that continent. There's a lot of countries on that continent. I don't know why. I can't name them all. That's how many there are, you know? I mean, you could say that for the entire world, but especially Africa, because Africa is like. But again, that's self explanatory. There's just so much history to Africa that it makes sense that there's so many countries in Africa, because it has the longest human history in the world, you know? But again, it is really odd that even like African news stations that are from South Sudan sometimes still ignore what goes on in their wars. It doesn't even matter which side it is. They just don't talk about it, you know? Like, what the fuck, you know? Like, don't get me wrong, they might talk about it here and there, but I don't see shit, You know, I'm from the U.S. I pay attention to this stuff. I'm somewhat informed, you know? I'm a, what you would call a, current events buff, in a way. Um, that kind of thing. And, they just don't talk shit about it, you know? Which also probably explains why it's if you take people from like Europe or North America or South America, they have a hard time naming African countries, you know? But let's be real, the only African country they can probably name is again South Africa and Egypt, you know? like the special big ones, you know? Maybe Chad or maybe even South Sudan if they're really a geography buff. But, you know, I don't think they're gonna go around and like, oh yeah, let's point out Ethiopia or uh, Somalia on a map, you know? That kind of thing. And then there are all the other continents like Asia. Technically, Europe is a continent, so we go with that. And then there's Oceania, which is sometimes called Australia, but that's kind of confusing because when most people think of Australia, they think of the country, not necessarily as a continent. So I would most likely go with Oceania to not, like, upset the New Zealanders, if you know what I mean. And then there's, you know, North America, South America, and Antarctica, but they don't have any countries in Antarctica. And I would say the continent that does have countries, but the least amount would probably be Oceania, you know? But after all that's said and done, I do know a lot about geography and history and culture and politics and religion and society and languages and stuff like that. Basically, yeah, like I said, I'm like to an extent, I am like a current events buff, but I don't leave my own space, really. You know, I don't really leave my own part of the world. The only time I really leave my own part of the world is if I go up for vacation or if I absolutely have to, you know? But yeah, that's all I got for today's video. And that's why I think nobody really notices when South Sudan goes into wars. Anyway, after all that's said and done, I'm going to end this video. See you later, and just remember, stay ugly.